Hey, 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 it's your girl, Krystal Yaden, better known as Krystal with a K, the connector, because I love connecting people to places, things, events, and well, of course, people. I'm also an actress, plus-size model, media personality, and the founder and CEO of It Krystal Klear Productions. It's an event and media production company based in the holy city of Charleston, South Carolina. We specialize in event planning, day of coordination, marketing and promotions, PR, and also different facets of media to include on-camera, radio, and red carpet interviewing, on-stage production, voiceover, motivational speaking, and so much more. We seek to provide you with the ultimate crystal clear experience. That's one that is done seamlessly, professionally, and always in the spirit of excellence. Thank you so much for tuning in right here to Keeping It Krystal Klear Radio, where it's all about community all the time on KineticHiFi.net. That's community building radio, Charleston's first, Charleston's best streaming radio. I'm Krystal with a K, always and forever, keeping it crystal clear. They are family men. They love being involved in their community just like me. They are personal injury attorneys. Separately, they are Brian Mickelsen and Danny Dalton, but together, business-wise, they are co-founding partners of Mickelsen Dalton LLC. They have a 5.0 on their Google reviews and a 5 out of 5 on their Facebook reviews. So it sounds like they are quite stellar to me. Today I have with me attorney Danny Dalton. Let's get down to business. So I like to know people's why. So tell me, what is your why for getting this law firm started?
I'll kind of give you a brief rundown. That's actually an interesting question, at least from my end. So Mr. Mickelsen and I have known each other for about 20 years. We met when you were church missionaries down in South America. We lived in Argentina for 2 years. Yeah, so we met down there and hit it off, good friends. We stayed in touch since then. I went off and did corporate strategy for big tech companies on the West Coast. That's where I started my career. And after, somewhere between the 5-year mark of doing that, a few things happened at once. One was I saw my friend Brian Mickelsen was going down this path, and he would tell me about it and talk about, working with individuals, helping them with their problems. They're going through hard times, and hearing how rewarding that was and how challenging it was. That was interesting to me. I also was flying all over the country, working with all these companies, and I thought it was really cool, but, I just started to realize or think to myself, I guess, eventually I'm going to, turn 70 and retire and look back on my life and what did I do? Help some of these companies with some deals? I don't know. And so that kind of got me thinking. And then at the same time, so all these were coming to a head. At the same time, our first daughter was born. And there was a little bit of a mishap with her birth, and my wife ended up with a pretty significant injury. And we're first-time parents. We don't know what's going on. It's all wild. And she's got this injury we're dealing with, and we didn't know what was going on. And we had a relative say, you ought to contact an attorney. Maybe it's not a case, but oftentimes they can at least help you get some answers and some information. So we did that, and he listened to us. He helped us across the country and go to law school and start a firm with my buddy.
Wow.
So it was a bit of a risk and a path to get here, but really, really glad we did. And that has ended up playing out that, not always, but some clients you really make a connection with, and you help them through something really hard, and it's really rewarding.
That is an amazing story. So now, where did you move across the country from?
Let's see. We were in Portland, Oregon at the time. So like opposite, about as different as you get from Charleston, South Carolina, right?
Okay,
geographically,
yeah.
culturally, everything. So it was a change, but we'd been out here a few times and loved the South. We love the beach. We love the size of the city. And so you can be a lawyer anywhere,
Right. Wow, that's an amazing story. So personal injury, that's basically what you all cover in your law firm, correct?
Correct. And it ends up being, that can be a pretty broad category.
That's what I was going to say. I know it can cover a plethora of different matters. So with that stated, what exactly, what specific types do you cover when it comes to personal injury?
That's a great question. So, we're willing to try to help anyone we can. We've done a lot of trucking cases, which can be bigger and more complex than just a typical, fender bender car accident. We've done a few medical malpractice cases. We've done some drownings that happened at resorts or other places. One area though that we've kind of carved out a little bit of a specialty or a niche. The type of case is called negligent or inadequate security. And there aren't a ton of law firms that do these, or at least do them with a regular frequency. But the gist of it is, if you own property in the state of South Carolina and you invite people to come on that property to conduct business, so think about bars, nightclubs, hotels, restaurants, gas stations, you name it, you have a legal duty to take reasonable steps to keep those people safe, right? And the way that you would usually think about it is, okay, if I own a gas station and there's broken glass on the ground, I got to clean it up so no one gets hurt, right? Or, if I own a bar and there's some rickety stairs, I got to fix them so that no one falls on them, right? But it also means that if you have a crime problem on the property, you have a duty to do something about that. Okay. And we can all, if you think about it, if you're thinking right here, you can think in your head of these gas stations, hotels, nightclubs, whatever it is, that are seedy. They got problems. And if you want to do something bad, you know where to go. We do find businesses that really are doing all that. You can't prevent all crime from happening, right? If someone's just hell-bent on doing something, they're going to do it. So what we look at is, if you have, cameras and good lighting and maybe you need security guards, whatever's reasonable for the circumstances. One example I always give is, if you're running a really peaceful, quiet old folks home, you probably don't need armed security at the door, right? That's not necessary. If you got a nightclub that has a history of 8 shootings in the past 12 months, it's probably reasonable for you to have armed security, maybe wanding people, patting them down when they come in the club. I mean, what's reasonable for you is going to be a lot different than for that nursing home. And so it's a wide spectrum on what's reasonable. And so that's what we look at when we investigate the case is, what's the history of crime at this place and what steps are you taking to stop that from happening? And sometimes we do find, they're doing all they can. There's not much else they could have done, and this is just really unfortunate.
Yeah, I totally understand, and I agree with your point there. So I know you mentioned some of the services you offered, but I think there's many more I saw, especially on the website. You all have to visit the website, okay? It's mickelsendalton.com, but there is so much more on there I saw, and I was like, wow, you would not even think of, I see something as far as, I guess, Uber and Lyft accidents. Yeah. I see electrocution. I was like, dog bites? Huh? Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about those other services you offer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and even the website is kind of a funny, when we first started our law firm, we were, we're just young guys with young families. And so we built our own website just from scratch, not knowing anything about how to do it. Maybe you've done it before, Krystal.
I have. I built my own, KrystalKlearProductions.com. Yes.
All
twice,
right, so
twice, actually.
You know the pain.
Yes.
Anyway, we've matured since then and have someone that manages that for us. But, really the gist of it is we wanted to represent people that have been injured or more often killed or catastrophically injured by the negligent acts of another. And a lot of our job entails investigating a case. So we'll get a call, someone will say, hey, this happened to me, is it a case? And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Electrocution, we had one, most recent one was probably in Georgia where a family had moved into an apartment. While they were moving in and getting everything ready and installed, their daughter was in the laundry room and touched a wire or touched an outlet and was electrocuted, and she died temporarily. I mean,
wow.
Heart stop, everything. Yeah, kind of crazy. And that alone, I don't know if that's a case, right? They called us and tell us that, and I say, I don't know if that's a case. Well, we start looking into it. We go out there with an electrician expert, and he says, man, this laundry room wiring is not anywhere near up to code. This is not how it should have been wired. It shouldn't have been possible for her to get electrocuted the way she did. And so we go to the apartment complex and come to find out their whole building is wired that way. And they just, when they did renovations, they did not elect to spend the money to update their wiring. And so, we brought an action against the apartment complex for this little girl, and we were able to get her and her family a good recovery there. And more importantly, the apartment complex had to go then and, fix the wiring. So, we do that. We've had dog bite cases. We've had, like I said, electrocutions. I can't remember some of the other ones you were mentioning, Krystal. But
there's also I see another one that says dram shop litigation.
Yeah.
What exactly is? I don't even know what a dram shop is.
Yeah, most people don't. So that's an interesting. And Uber and Lyft. That was another one you mentioned that Uber can be liable if they're hiring people they shouldn't and putting them on the road under their banner, right? A dram shop case is the following. If you are a bar, and this is across the country, everyone's got some form of this law in their state. South Carolina's got a pretty strong one. If you are a bar or an establishment that serves alcohol, if someone is visibly intoxicated already and you continue to serve them, you can be held liable if they then leave the bar and go and kill someone with their car. So it's basically saying, look, I know you're not the one behind the driver's seat bar, but you're also the one that knows the laws and the responsibilities and, has to manage that serving of the alcohol. So they can be tough cases because it's not just simply, hey, you're a drunk driver, you got drunk at that bar, you're liable. You got to show that this guy was already trashed and you continued to serve him. So that's a dram shop case. It's kind of interesting.
I was thinking a dram shop had something to do, like, I don't know, mechanics, like the car shop
could
or
be,
something.
Could
but
yeah, there's,
I guess welding, so that's something.
Yeah, that could be. Some other cases we do that are a little heavier as well. I believe we were the first firm in South Carolina to file a lawsuit against a hotel for human trafficking happening on the property. Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of heavy stuff. And, speaking for myself, I was very naive. And, we go and meet with these clients and listen to their stories. And I was shocked. I didn't have the words to say. You don't ever think that something like that's happening in your backyard. Mm-hmm. You think that it happens in these other countries or things like that. And no, it's happening in Charleston.
Yeah, to my understanding, I've heard, so I can't confirm, but I've heard that they teach basically people that work at hotels how to look for that type of thing if there is some type of human trafficking that's happening. So I guess maybe that's in the HR training. I'm not really sure, new employee training or something, but I have heard that they are taught to look for that type of thing that's going on. I've even seen certain cases where, just certain videos where basically people try to stick the tissue in your car handle, certain things that that weren't there before you left the car and you come back to the car and then they're now there. So yes, people, please be careful about that. Okay.
Scary.
Yes.
Scary.
Yeah, very scary. So, okay, well, so we now know about many of the different services, which I tell you, that is definitely a variety for sure when it comes to your services that you offer at the law firm. So you have different areas that you service. You don't just service here in Charleston. Tell us about some of those different areas.
Yeah, that's actually been a really interesting part of our practice that I think is kind of uncommon because historically the law is very kind of insular and gated off, meaning, hey, if you're a South Carolina lawyer, you go to school in South Carolina, you get licensed to practice law in South Carolina, and you build your career in South Carolina. And that's it, okay? And you retire in South Carolina. But, as things have progressed, I think that's slowly changing where you can be a little more nimble. And I think because of the fact that I'm from the West Coast, my law partner actually he's from the Washington State on the West Coast. So we naturally were getting cases out there from family and friends and things. So we got licensed out there. We got licensed in Georgia. We're licensed in several other states, and we just keep expanding. And we keep getting cases in these other jurisdictions, and it's been really interesting. So we opened recently an office in Seattle, Washington, and we're also opening an office in Chicago, Illinois. So the goal there is we don't have to be hopping on flights all over the country anymore. We can we've got a West Coast office, a Midwest office, and we got our Charleston office holding down the fort here. So that's been a fun part of the practice, actually.
Wow, y'all are pretty much all over and about to be all over.
That's
you're
right.
Having an office there as well.
That's right.
So
Krystal.
I noticed that your firm's tagline, I'm guessing, is Voices for Victims. What is that all about?
Yeah, that we thought a lot about that. What we wanted to portray, and some law firms, I think a lot of law firms spend time thinking about this, and the attitude that they want to convey, and well, I'm the bulldog attorney, or I'm the you think a lot about what you want your image to be, and we thought about what we wanted ours to be, and we thought about the cases that have meant the most to us, And all of them involved people that were, honestly, they were essentially victims. And you think about, we've got a young girl that's caught in the crossfire of a gang shootout at a mall up in Charlotte, innocent little sweet girl killed needlessly. We talk about these wonderful, strong women that got caught up in the world of human and sex trafficking, and they're great women, and they're victims. They're victims of this vicious, vicious thing. And so we thought about, man, those are the cases that really mean a lot to us when we're representing innocent victims against something that feels wrong. And so, we feel like in those cases, we get to be their voices to some extent. And that's been really meaningful to us. And so we found that, or thought of that tagline, I guess, and it resonated with what's been meaningful for us, being the voices for victims.
Yes, I love it. I'm very big on taglines. So, of course, mine for Krystal Klear Productions is keeping it crystal clear. Well, that's the name of my show, but I say taking every step to make your production crystal clear.
I like it.
So, y'all said voices for victims. I'm very big on alliteration as well. That poetry device where everything kind of has those same letters. So, I say a wonderful winning Wednesday. Voices for victims.
Does it get your stamp of approval?
It does.
Krystal.
It is crystal clear approved. That's what I always say. So yes,
I love it.
I love it for
love
sure.
It.
Yes. Okay. So tell me really quickly, what does it look like? What's the process look like when you're going through a case with Mickelsen Dalton LLC as a victim? Walk us through what I like to call in production the start to finish.
That's a great question. And this I'll try to touch a little bit on where we pride ourselves. And I won't say that we're unique. We're the only law firms that do this. But some of the things where I think we're a little bit different. We're pretty selective on the cases we take. So we don't just take anything that comes in the door if we think we can make a buck on it. We're a little more selective. That allows us to take on fewer cases and be really focused on those cases. And another thing it's allowed us is someone calls in and we decide, I'll pull back. Let me walk you through the process and I'll do that. I'll answer your question a little better. We'll usually get a phone call from a family member, a loved one, maybe if it's even a friend or a community activist that says, hey, this horrible thing happened. I don't know if it's a case. What do you guys think? And without fail, we'll say, let's see. Why don't you put us in touch with them and we'll see. So we get in touch with the family, and that might involve us going and sitting in their home and meeting with them. If we have the chance to do that, we prefer to do that. I think that's more meaningful for them. I think it builds some trust, and I think it helps us really invest emotionally in the case, which is important. From there, we will sign them up as a client, and for our services, we're usually going against big businesses and big insurance companies. People don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars lying around to pay some attorney to go fight this battle, right? So we'll investigate the case, and if we think it's one we can help you with, we take it on. We invest our time and money into it, and we only get paid if we are able to recover something for you. Okay. So we'll investigate the case. That'll often involve us calling law enforcement, making requests for public documents about crime histories, things like that, or whatever the type of case it is may warrant. Once we feel like we have a decent pulse on the case, we'll call the client back and we'll formally sign them up and get to work. One point where we're a little bit different is we give our clients our personal cell phone numbers. So you need to get in touch with me. You don't need to call the office and go through 5 paralegals and set time on my calendar. You can shoot me a text message. You can call me. You can leave me a voicemail. You can email me. You can do whatever you want. But it's important to us that we feel like our clients we're accessible to our clients. So that's been great because I think it's meaningful to the clients. My wife's not crazy about that because we get calls day and night, first thing in the morning and late at night and Christmas Day and everything else. But I think it's meaningful. From there, we try to cater to what the client wants. So these lawsuits can be lengthy and they can turn into battles. And if the client wants to be very involved and get updates every week on what's going on, we do that. Some clients just say, look, I trust you guys. I want to put this out of your mind or out of my mind, and I want you guys to run with it. And we do as much as we can to take the burden off them and not involve them. And we work up the case, and we go fight, and we'll call them up with good news, sometime later and say, look, we were able to get this recovery. We got the maximum limits of the insurance policy, or, we got this. Or we'll take it to trial and yeah, that's the kind of the start to finish.
All right. So, I mean, that's an awesome walkthrough. I really appreciate you for giving me that, because a lot of people do not know, just being the average citizen, we don't all know how it works unless we are a lawyer ourselves, or attorney ourselves, how the inner workings of that process all works together. So that was neat to know. Interesting fact that you actually give out your personal cell phone number. That really
kind of
means
different.
For sure, that you want to connect with your clients. I'm like, I don't even have your personal cell phone number. So, I mean, maybe I need to become a client.
We'll change that, Krystal. We'll change that.
We'll change that today. But yeah, that's a pretty neat thing, I'll say for sure. So, so where can we find you all on the web or on social media?
Yeah, so we, our website is mickelsendalton.com. I know it's a little bit of a mouthful, but MICKELSEN, Dalton, DALTON.com. We also have a rock star employee at our firm that's trying to help us. Really, the goal was to help us connect more with the community. So we've gotten involved with a lot of local organizations where we volunteer our time and getting involved with them. But he's also helped bolster our social media a little bit. He's a little more savvy. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and I'm sure we're soon to come on some other platforms. I don't know what you recommend, Krystal. Are there others that get your bang for your buck these days?
Well, there are several other platforms. Yes, this is actually something I talk about all the time.
I want to hear it.
So some of the other ones I'm on, they are on Facebook, you all. Facebook at Mickelsen Dalton LLC, or just Mickelsen Dalton. Same for Instagram, Mickelsen Dalton. But also you can be on Twitter, if you want to drop some facts or something about these law cases. You could be on, what else do I have? Because I have so many different types of social media.
We thought about getting on YouTube a little bit.
Oh, YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
That would be good.
And doing some videos, meet our clients, hear about our cases. But Twitter's another one we talked about because it's quick. You can put something quick up there.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, we're a little bit on. Individually, we are. We need to bolster that one. I'll bring that up to him, Krystal.
I think LinkedIn is good for you.
Okay.
I think I have a pretty good following on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You could get into some fun stuff and do some TikTok as well.
Yeah, we thought about that.
That's another thing. Of course, there's plenty other social media platforms, but that's just a few. So you all, if you need to contact them, make sure you contact Mickelsen Dalton LLC at 843-804-0428. Once again, that's 843-804-0428, or help at mickelsendalton.com. Danny, thank you so much for sharing with us on today.
We love what you're doing, Krystal. Appreciate you having us on today.
Thank you. Remember, there are always advertising and sponsorship opportunities available on Keeping It Krystal Clear, the web show, and Keeping It Krystal Clear Radio, where it's all about community all the time. It's community building radio on Charleston's first, Charleston's best streaming radio. That's KineticHiFi.net. For more information, contact us at 843-608-9416. That's 843-608-9416.